Hello everyone, welcome to Chess World. Today I have brought you an amazing game from the Clutch Chess Tournament which is going on, and yesterday was the day 2 of the tournament, and many games were played yesterday. One of the games was played between Alexander Grischuk and Levon Aronian. Uh, Levon Aronian is an American grandmaster and Grischuk is a Russian grandmaster. So this is a great game. Both of them put an amazing fight. So without further ado, let's jump into the game. So Levon Aronian had the white pieces and Grischuk had the black pieces. So Aronian started with d4, the queen pawn opening. Grischuk replied with knight to f6, going for the Indian game. c4, e6, knight to f3, developing pieces. d5, transposing into the queen's gambit, declined. Knight to f3, c5, transposing into the semi-Tarrasch variation of the QGD. c takes d5, knight takes d5, and e4, attacking the d5 knight. Black captures the c3 knight, white recaptures. c takes d, c takes d. Now white has an amazing center, white has a piece developed, so white is slightly better. Black plays bishop to b4, check. White defends and counterattacks with bishop to d2. Black captures the bishop, queen recaptures the d2 bishop. Now black castles. Bishop to c4, developing the piece and getting ready to castle. Knight to d7 and castles. b6. Black wants to put his bishop on the b7 square and put some pressure on this h1 to b7 diagonal. Rook to d1, bishop to b7, and rook to e1, defending the e4 pawn. Rook to c8. White's bishop is attacked, so white defends it with bishop to b3. Now rook to e8. h3, a prophylactic move and giving the king some escape square. Knight to f6. Queen to f4. Queen to c7. So here Grischuk proposes the queen exchange. White avoids it with knight to e5. Now rook to e7. Black wants to double and triple up on the c file. Queen to h4. Getting out of the pen. Queen to e8. Black wants to double up on the c file with the rooks. Now there is a tactic which goes by knight takes the pawn, then king takes the knight. White pushes the pawn. Now black has to capture. White pushes and black goes to g8. White captures the h7 pawn. King to f8. Rook to e3. And after rook to f7, black is fine. Even if white pushes, white black just gets out of the push and plays rook to f6, and there is no fork because there is a knight on g8, which protects the e7 square. So rook to e1, queen to e7, blockading the pawn, and here white has absolutely no compensation for the piece, so black is winning here. So that's why Grischuk did not go for that. Aronian did not go for that. Rather, Aronian played f3, giving further protection to the e4 pawn. Now h6, queen back to f2. There was no use of queen on the h4 square. Rook to c7, doubling up the rook on the c file. h4. Rook to c3, an aggressive move, entering into the white's territory. d5. So now black captures the d5 pawn. E takes d. E takes d. Black blockades the d5 pawn with the queen. White brings the queen to the d4 square because there are already three attackers on the d5 square, and black would want to attack it one more time from the twice with the rook, so white will be able to defend it. Now rook to c5, attacking the pawn. So now black is attacking the d5 pawn 4 times and white is defending it 3 times only. So it seems like white is sort of losing, because how do you give it further protection? So white protects the pawn with a tactic. Knight to c4. Now black cannot capture. Say black captures it with the queen, then while white will not recapture the queen, rather white will uh, bring its queen back to b2 and giving a discover attack from the rook. Now if queen goes to c6, then knight has this. Knight to d6, an amazing square attacking the rook, the bishop, the f7 pawn, and this position is completely in favor of white. White has a winning advantage here. So the game could go like queen to c7 and then bishop take f7 check and king h7, knight takes c8. If you're thinking, uh, what if here rook plays, then knight takes f7. If rook takes, then rook d8 check. Now you lose a rook. Sorry. Rook d8 check. King h7 only move. Now queen b1 check. And black is falling apart here. So that's why black did not capture the pawn. Rather, black played queen to g3, putting some pressure on the g2 pawn. Black gives further protection to the d5 pawn. Rook to e8, rook to e2, and queen to e5. proposing the queen exchange. King to f2, bringing the king closer to the center. Black captures the queen, white recaptures, and black plays king to f8. g5, g4, sorry, g6, rook to d2. White wants to push its pawn to victory, basically queen the pawn. So black plays knight to d7, maneuver the piece, knight to c4, and bishop to a8. And at this position, at this position, uh, sorry, this position was completely equal. Now these next two moves gives white some advantage. So this move, knight to d7, was a wrong move. Rather, rook to d8 was a better move, but black played it. Now white played knight to c4, taking control of the d6 square to push the pawn. Now this move, bishop to a8, was also a losing move because now white will jump on the d6 square with the knight, and white does that. Now white has a choice. Either white can go with the rook to the e7 square or the d8 square. I mean, these are the logical moves because uh, you know if black plays on the e7 rook to e7, then black has the control of the e file, and black is also defending the f7 pawn with the rook. But black decides to play rook to d8, and this is a mistake. Now white could take advantage of it, but Aronian missed this, and Aronian played knight to e4. What was the best move for white here? Rook to f4 was the best move here. Because now white is attacking the f7 pawn twice. So let's say black defends it with knight. Then white can recapture, knight capture, and just, you know, discover attack and win the knight. So yeah, if this happens, then white is just getting a queen. So black can put the knight to e5 to defend the f7 square. So if black plays this, then knight to e4, rook to a5, knight captures, rook captures, and this. White has a big advantage here. White has a passed pawn in the d file, and white has the computer shows white has an advantage of +4 here. But that did not happen. Aronian missed this tactic. Rather, Aronian played knight to e4, rook to a5, g5, hg, hg, and king to g7. Rook to c2, getting hold of the c file. Knight to c5, not allowing the rook to infiltrate from the c file. Knight to f6, an excellent square for the knight. Black realizes it and plays knight to d7. Now white has a good advantage here of plus 1.5, but white makes a losing move here. White plays rook to c7. Now, why is it losing? And what is white losing here? Can you spot it? Basically, white is losing the g5 pawn because black captures the f6 knight, pawn recaptures, and king captures the pawn. So yes, white had an excellent knight on f6 square, and now not that great of a position. So white starts pushing its pawn d6, king to e5, attacking the rook on d4, rook to c3, rook to d3, bishop to d5, proposing some exchanges. Now white pushes the pawn. In this position is completely equal. Now white should capture the bishop on d5. Rather, white pushes d7 because white thinks white can, win the rook and, ultimately win the game, or queen. But this was a mistake because now black captures the b3 bishop, and white, after playing rook to c8, white thought now black had to, give up the rook for the pawn, which black does. Rook takes d7. Now rook takes a2 check, king to g3, and bishop to e6, skewering the rooks. Now it seems like black is also winning the exchange, but it is not. So if you want, you can pause the video and uh, try to find the move for white. So congratulations if you did. The move was rook to e8, basically pinning the bishop and getting out of the skewer. So black goes king to f6. Now bishop captures rook is a threat. So rook moves to b7, rook to a3, rook to d8, g5, f2, king to f2, king to e5, bringing the king closer to the center, rook to c7, and black starts pushing its pawn a5. Rook goes to c1, a4, rook to e1 check, king goes to f6. Now, in this position, it was necessary for white to play rook to b1, but rather white played rook to e4, and this was a mistake because now black has the control of the game, complete control of the game. White's idea was white wants to bring its rook on the b4 square and blockade the pawn, but white missed this move. Black just pushed the pawn. Now, even if white blocks, black just puts the rook there. Now, white captured, black captured with the bishop. Now, it is a completely winning endgame for black because black has the pawns on two sides of the board. And yes, black is an exchange down, but the position is completely winning for black. It is just a matter of technique now. So let's see how uh, Grischuk did it. Rook to a8 by Aronian. King to e5. King to e3. f5. Rook to e8 check. Bishop blocks the check. Rook to b8 and f4 check. King to d3. Bishop to c4 check. King to c3. a3. Rook to e8 check. King to f5. Rook f8 check. King to g6. Rook to h8. a2. Now this position is completely hopeless. King to b2. King to f5. Rook f8 check. King e5. Rook to d8. And bishop blocks the path of the rook. Rook goes to b8, attacking the pawn. Now Grischuk just eliminated the f3 pawn. So king captures the a2 pawn and bishop gives check. King goes to b2 and bishop protects the b5 pawn, and this position is completely lost because black has two passed pawns and they are connected. So white plays for a few more moves. King to c3, king to e4, rook e8 check, king to f3, rook f8, g4, king to d4, g3, king to sorry, the game ended here, like on as soon as black played uh, white played king to c3, and when black played king to e4, the game ended here. White resigned because black can easily win this game now. Uh, to give you an idea, now it is white's turn. So let's say white gives a check on e8. Black goes to f3, f8, g4, king to d4, g3, king to e5, g2, rook captures, king to g3, rook there, bishop to e2, and bishop blocks, and there is no defense against queening. So it's now just a matter of moves. Black will checkmate white. So that is why Aronian resigned on move 73. So this was an amazing game, an amazing victory by the Russian Grandmaster. I hope you liked the video. I hope you got something out of it. If you liked the video, uh, please subscribe my channel for the future content. Thank you for watching.